All right, so the way I started out is I do a tiny division. So I take my leading term for my divisor. You don't care about the -2 right now. You just care about the x. And I take my leading coefficient and term, the 6x to the third, and I come over here and I do a tiny, I call it like a little mini division. Okay? And I divide that and you would get, okay, so this would be like step 1. That now comes up top, but you want to line your exponents up. So I put it under or over, sorry, the x squared. And you start to see that, okay, I should probably get a trinomial, right? Because you have the square dx and then you'll have your constant spot. Okay, now, what was the operation? Once we put the number up here, what's the operation that we did? You would multiply, right? So what you're going to do is you take the 6x squared that you just got, you times it by the full divisor. This is the only time you use like the full divisor. And that's step 2. Right? And you would get 6x to the third minus 12x squared. Right? Everyone okay with that? Some of you might be like, Mashar, can I do this in my head and then put it here? You guys, I'm just showing like all the steps. Okay? But eventually you get good at this and you're like, okay, I just want to like kind of do it all in my head. You just want to be careful with your signs, because if you mess your signs up, then it gets messy. Okay. All right, third step was what? What did we do? We subtract. Now this is where 9 out of 10 times you make an error. So I'm going to show old school where I go like this. Now, if you have a negative and I distribute it, this is going to change. That changes to a positive on the outside, technically. This changes to a negative, and I'm going to circle the new sign. The negative here would change to a positive. Those are your new signs, and now you add. Okay? They should cross out. Negative 7x squared. Is that okay? Right, so you do a blue, a red, and then the green is the subtraction. That's where you will make sign mistakes if you make them. Okay. Now the cool part is we now just repeat the same process. You take your first term, okay, and only your first term. That's how you get like kick-started. So now I'm going to come over here. Negative 7x squared. I divide it by that same term I have boxed in. And this should be negative 7x, right? Okay. That goes up. Right? Once that's up there, you then will multiply, right? We'll multiply. Negative 7x times x minus 2. Sorry. Right? Negative 7x squared plus 14x. Doing all right? Now you will start to notice, like these two terms should always be the same sign, and then when you're when you do the subtraction is when they start to change, right? So I subtract, add your parentheses in there so you don't mess up. Negative times negative. So this changes to a positive, but then the 14 has to change to a negative. They cross out. Should get 2x minus 4. Okay, and then you do it one more time. 2x divided by the x, right? It's a lot. I'm just showing all the work just to help for anyone that was like absent. Right, now you have a 2, that goes up there, right? Plus 2. Then what are we going to do now? What are you guys going to do with that 2? Multiply it. Good job. And if they are exactly the same, then you know you won't have a remainder, right? Since they're both the same. The other technique I'll show here, what some kids like to do is they don't like the parentheses. So what you can do, and I'll show it on this one, is you can immediately change the sign. But what I would do is I would circle it, because then you know you've already changed the signs. And you have to make sure you do it for both of them. And now you got a remainder of 0. Right? So that proves that our x minus 2, it proves that that guy is a factor. And f of x, right? Just wait. So we have f of x would be equal to, right, our trinomial, the blue, 6x squared minus 7x plus 2 times x minus 2. These two, if you multiply them, would give you that 6x to the third, which is kind of like